Hello, hello. What we are going to do is prepare the inside of our journal cover, and I'm going to show you this because I'm sure someone will ask. This is the paper pad that the paper I'm using comes from, or the card, and when I do this I try where I can to use a single-sided one because I don't like wasting the double-sided ones. You know, I do use the double-sided ones, but where I can I try and use the single-sided ones. Now I've already cut a piece of this for the other one like this. So what we need to do is we need to measure our front and back. So I'm doing this in centimetres, guys. I apologise. If you want to pause, maybe you can look at the ruler for the inches. Just checking I'm in frame. So I actually start with the height. I don't know why I checked the width first. I tend to leave only about half a centimetre, give or take. So the height of this I want to cut at about 15.1. The reason I do the height first is because I want the front and back cover to be completely equal. Now if the height is different on the front and back, that's really going to notice, but if the width is different, we're not going to notice too much because we're covering this bit with fabric. So let's put my cutting board the right way around. I want the height at 15.1, maybe 15.2. So I'm cutting that. Now the first thing I do is just check that's okay. Yep, we're going to have about 1/4 of a centimetre all the way round, which is what I like. I like it being really close to the top. So now I'm going to measure the width, and I just come in just a tad. You know, I don't come in too much, but I do come in a little bit, because if we butt the card up to this, once we've got our fabric in place, it could hinder our book opening and closing. And again, this is about 11.5 centimetres, so I'm just going to come in, I'm going to do about 11.2 for this cover. Actually, I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, about 11.2 I want, and we need 2 of these. And normally I'd stick my head right over to be able to see. So I'm hoping this is right. Oh, before I forget, my tear ruler. I keep forgetting. I've been meaning to do this for about 3 videos now. I don't know where my tear ruler is. Sometimes it slides under there. If you are looking for one and you are in the UK, mine is a Joy Crafts ruler, and Liza's craft shop, there is a link under the useful links in my website. She is actually stocking that ruler, and she has said to me that she is offering it a little bit cheaper because she purchased in bulk. So if you're looking for that ruler, check out the link in my website, because Liza's craft store has now got that in stock. Okay, so we've got these cut, and you know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to ink them. I did think about cutting them in advance, but then I thought there's not really going to be anything to show you if I've done that. I actually like it a bit more grungy, and the lighter one is not showing up particularly on here, so I'm going to go round with the darker ink. And this is ground espresso. I've got a rattle somewhere, I don't know what it is. I'm sorry if you can hear that. Something's wobbling somewhere. I had a bit of a collision earlier with my chair and my desk. So I think think I've maybe dislodged something somewhere, because, you know, this is so well made, my desk. It's probably not actually on the base anymore. I just want to make sure there's no white showing. So I'm going around the edges again, just the very edges. So that's that done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these in place. I hope the lighting's alright on here. It's a bit brighter now than it was earlier today. Now I use Fabri-Tac because we are adhering paper cardstock to fabric, and I'm getting reasonably, very close to the edge in some cases. Get quite close to the edge, making sure I get those corners nicely covered, because the edges and the corners are the most important thing to make sure you've glued well. As you can see, I don't want this to come off. I'm giving that a very good coat. Let's get rid of that bit of glue. And again, I would have my head stuck right over here. And the most important thing is to make sure you've got your gap all the way round. This is one bit you want to make sure it's really neat and really well done. Okay, so that's that side, and we'll now do the other side. I don't think there is really a right or wrong way for this paper, but you can obviously make sure you get it right if you have got a paper that works one way. Got this, I feel like I need to really concentrate today, so every time I do something where I need to concentrate, I can't, it's like I can't talk at the same time. I know that's not like me, not being able to talk, but there we go. Lots of glue. Just a bit concerned about that edge. I'll make sure that's nicely covered. Just double checking I actually had the cover the right way up. Right, so what I do is I make sure I've got these lined up at the top or the bottom. You know, if one's right, the other one's going to be right. So we want that nicely stuck down. Okay, so we now have the inside covers done. Now what I've already done is I've cut out some canvas, because this is what I'm going to adhere my signature to, and I'm going to stick this in using canvas. Now I do this in a couple of ways. I use the canvas because it's thick, but the problem is sometimes if you are too heavy with your glue, you're going to have trouble opening and closing your book. The other way of doing it, which I have done in the past, is the way that Zoe Tofield does it. And she's got a tutorial on her channel, and I use calico, and you can back it with the heat and bond. Now, the reason I stopped using the heat and bond and the calico was because it is really difficult to get your needle through the heat and bond if you use the heat and bond that I do, and it's really thick and it's quite textured, and I use that one because it works on the faux leather that I use. So I could buy the other one. I have had a cheap one, which was brilliant, but because I don't use that method anymore, for this tutorial I'm going to use the canvas, which is what I used to use. And we are going to, you know, stick our signatures in and sew them straight onto the canvas, which is a little bit tricky. I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit tricky, but you can use this exact same technique and use a cardstock. You could use another patterned cardstock, but this is as far as we need to go right now, because the next step is going to be to make the signatures. If you want to use calico rather than canvas, you can absolutely do that, but what you would need to do is put some either paint this or use some gesso or something just to cover up the bookboard if you've used a bookboard, so your thinner canvas or fabric, it's not going to show through. I did think about using another piece of this, but although I think it works with the inside and outside cover, I'm not 100% convinced this works on the inside, so I'm not going to do that. But you know, you can use whatever fabric you want. So the next video will be us putting the signatures together, and I will be back with that in a bit, maybe today, maybe first thing tomorrow, but I will see you very soon for the next instalment. Thanks for watching. Bye.